Children with microcephaly, the intensified costs and challenges after the benefit cuts in Brazil. Imagine being a parent, already overwhelmed with caring for a child with microcephaly, only to lose the lifeline helping you survive, the lifetime benefit. Families across Brazil are now facing crushing financial and emotional tolls as they grapple with this harsh reality. Their voices need to be heard. Caring for a child with microcephaly demands constant attention, medical care, specialized equipment, and more. Parents are heroes in these stories, yet they face hurdles no one should endure alone. Beneath the statistics lies the heart-wrenching realities of parents struggling without support. Microcephaly is a rare condition where a child's head is much smaller than normal, affecting brain development. The Zika virus crisis brought it to light in Brazil, leaving thousands of babies with complex lifelong needs. These children require intensive care and attention to achieve even basic developmental milestones. For families, this means a never-ending cycle of doctor visits, therapy sessions, and medical routines. The economic and emotional drain is staggering. With Zika-amplified cases of microcephaly in Brazil, the country became the world's epicenter of this crisis, but are we doing enough to support these families? Initially, families could depend on lifetime financial benefits to offset massive costs of care, like medical expenses, specialized equipment, transportation, and therapy. For many, the benefits were the only source of stability in handling the overwhelming demands of raising a child with microcephaly. The recent decision to cut lifetime benefits has devastated families. Caregivers, already stretched thin, now face impossible choices, prioritizing therapy over daily needs, delaying necessary medical care, or even foregoing transportation to specialized centers. For some families, these cuts are the difference between survival and crisis. Picture this: hours spent traveling to therapy, expensive medical consultations, adaptive devices, and diets tailored to support developmental growth, all adding up to an unaffordable bill. For families, every small improvement comes at a huge cost. Losing financial aid pushes these families to the brink of collapse. The true costs extend beyond money. Exhausted caregivers juggle between being full-time parents and breadwinners, often sacrificing mental health, sleep, and community support just to ensure their child receives adequate care. Without assistance, many caregivers face burnout, depression, and insurmountable debt. Parents are finding creative but heartbreaking ways to cope. Some move in with extended families to pool resources, while others rely on donations or assistance from local NGOs. However, these temporary fixes can't solve the ongoing hardships associated with microcephaly, financial or emotional. Many families are forced to compromise their children's care to cover basics like food and rent. Therapy sessions are skipped, necessary medications overlooked, and opportunities for growth delayed. Every compromise made is a step back in a child's developmental journey. Non-governmental organizations, NGOs, have stepped in where the system has failed, but their efforts are limited. They provide temporary relief, help with transportation to medical appointments, donation drives for specialized equipment, or emotional support networks. Yet these organizations are overwhelmed by the sheer demand for assistance. The question remains, how long can NGOs sustain this support? And why are governments letting community efforts bear the brunt of helping these vulnerable families? These organizations, while vital, cannot replace the financial stability that lifetime benefits once provided. Public healthcare in Brazil is often inaccessible or overburdened, leaving children with microcephaly underserved. From long waits for appointments to outdated equipment and regional facilities, families face roadblocks at every step. This gap further amplifies the hardship caused by the cuts in financial benefits. Access to specialized professionals and therapies is limited, particularly in rural or impoverished areas. Parents often must take extended journeys, further draining their resources and time. The lack of local, affordable care adds immense pressure to already overwhelmed families. Beyond the financial hit, caregivers' emotional well-being is in crisis. Caregivers report skyrocketing anxiety, depression, and feelings of helplessness. They are not just dealing with their child's challenges but also the guilt of not being able to meet their needs due to external limitations. The invisible burden placed upon caregivers affects their physical health, relationships, and future aspirations. Without mental health support or community help programs, these individuals are left to endure immense stress completely alone. Their voices often go unheard in public discourse. Families are pleading for policy reforms. Caregivers are uniting in grassroots movements, sharing their stories, and demanding a reinstatement of benefits. Their message is clear: the government's decision has left children with microcephaly at a disadvantage and compromised their rights to accessible health care and support. Legal actions are also gaining momentum, with families challenging the unfair cuts in court. Slowly but steadily, these efforts are drawing attention to the gravity of the issue. But will it be enough to turn the tide and restore balance to a system in crisis? This isn't just a government issue, it's a societal responsibility. Communities need to rise in support, whether through organized aid drives or small acts of kindness. Media can amplify the voices of suffering families, drawing attention and empathy to the issue. Increasing public awareness and pushing for inclusive reforms require collaborative efforts from individuals, NGOs, and civil groups. Together, we can ensure these families feel seen, supported, and included in decision-making processes about their future. The consequences of inaction are severe. Left untreated and unsupported, children with microcephaly face worsened developmental outcomes, perpetuating health inequalities. Meanwhile, caregivers risk burnout, further straining public services as families fall into deeper poverty. Comprehensive reforms are essential, with permanent solutions like reinstating benefits, increasing access to health care, and prioritizing early intervention services. These families can't afford to wait. No parent should have to choose between giving their child therapy and putting food on the table. It's time to demand change. Share this story, support grassroots campaigns, and push leaders for policies that protect vulnerable families. Together, we can fight for a more inclusive and compassionate future. Act now.